Greetings to you all, and special thanks to Professor Peter Brown from McGill University, who through interaction with my mentor, Liz Hoskin of Gaia Foundation in the United Kingdom, have made this recording possible. Special thanks to Professor Ellie Perkins and your graduate students, Molly Frames from York University in Canada. I feel very privileged to speak to you today at this time, and in particular this particular time in our human history. This particular time in our human history, which is becoming known as the Anthropocene, the time of the humans, the time that the human beings have really dominated life on our universe, on Earth. This is a very special time to me because it is this time in the human history which has really created crisis and chaos on Earth. It is this particular time in history where you find in virtually each and every part of the world there is violence, there are strikes, demonstrations, there is war. Virtually the relationship between human beings has broken down. It feels like human beings don't like each other anymore, as we can see with the fighting and the violence and all that is going on. It is really the time that the human being has asserted his and her presence on the earth and completely forgot about the presence of other non-human beings that have been pushed to the periphery, that have become virtually non-existent. This is a very interesting time, as Thomas Berry would call it, and describes as a time that is taking us to that period when humans will eventually find themselves very lonely. This time we are in right now is a time that with each day that passes and with each year that passes, the human being is cutting its relationship with other non-human beings. But yes, it will be a lonely time. As human beings, we have broken the laws that govern life. We have become unjust, not only to ourselves, we have become unjust to all other forms of life on earth. It is exactly this brokenness, this breaking, and this unjust relationship that has emerged between humans and the earth and all other earth subjects that is really creating all these crises, fighting, competition. And one of the manifestations of the breakdown, one of the manifestations of the fact that we have broken the basic laws that hold life resilience, the basic laws that hold life. One of the greatest manifestations is climate change. We continue to dig up fossil fuels like coal and burn them up into the air, and the flora and the fauna is busy trying to get that back into the soil and hide it there so that climatic conditions could be regulated in the way that Gaia, Mother Goddess, has self-regulated herself from the beginning of time. But as human beings, we continue to pump carbon day in, day out. And the capacity of the earth to self-regulate is being diminished every day. And as Stephen Harding writes about the tipping point, that we don't know when we are overloading the earth system and its capacity to self-regulate. But when that happens, it is only at the peril of the human race and, of course, all other living things. So climate change is clearly a manifestation of the injustice that we as human beings have perpetrated on Mother Earth and other living organisms. So you find that, for example, while right now in Cape Town, South Africa, they are crying about dams drying up and water sources for the mother city all dwindling. But just next door in Mozambique, in Zimbabwe, they are busy experiencing floods. How do you explain that? Mother Earth surely is losing that ability to regulate itself, but all points to none other than human beings. I will speak to you about the work that Earth Law does. Earth Law Foundation works with communities in South Africa and in Zimbabwe. Our work in these communities revolves around bringing back the crop diversity that the traditional and indigenous peoples of those places have had from their ancestors from time immemorial. It is interesting today that you find vast tracts of land, hectares and hectares of land, and you see one crop. It could be sugarcane, it could be maize, or it could be beans. What has happened to the whole diversity of seeds that have been grown, that have been saved, and that were proliferated in the fields from time immemorial? As Earth Law, we are